What is happening, everybody? Welcome back to the Sports Card CEO. This is the place where we talk connections and collections in the sports card hobby to help you become your very own sports card CEO. Matt Ham, Bubba Wilson, Eric Mandelkern. Boys, it's going to be spicy today.
Dude, no, this is one of those episodes where I really wish that the app that we're using here recorded the pre-episode and post-episode.
Yeah,
I mean, that would be gold.
Canceled from all platforms.
The outtakes.
Baseball season is starting as we record today, the MLB opening day. Of course, they had the Tokyo series, but official opening day is this Thursday, so we're jazzed up, got a lot going on. Today's going to be called the Mailbox Mailbag Special. We're going to be opening some mail on the show and then taking some of our listeners and our viewers, taking some of their mail and answering questions. So it's going to be a big, fun episode. But Kern, back fresh from your scouting trip to the Dominican. Fill us in on your week, bud.
Yeah, I've been in the Dominican for the last week, scouting 13-year-olds and getting their names and numbers and talking to their agents, and they're going to call me when they start signing their Bowman cards. But good time with the family, away during a busy time, so a little stressful. Catch-up day for me today, but I did come into a crap ton of packages here. So we're going to open up some of this mail. Some of it I do know what it is, and some of it I don't remember buying. So some will be surprises, but it'll be fun.
Awesome. Bubba, what about you?
Man, just another long weekend of sports. Grinded this weekend. We had 6 games as a family on Saturday, and across our state, probably about 250 miles combined of driving from one location to the next to the next. Got through that, got up early, had a game on Sunday morning at 8 a.m. Nice 39-degree temperature first pitch, which was nice, but really, really busy weekend with that. On the card side, really have just kind of been again, chipping away. I don't feel like I'm binging on anything, but I am going to say with the earmuffs, okay, because I got the earmuffs, Kern's got the ear. There is something to be said. Kern, I've seen it all over the internet, these memes about how your earmuffs and stocks plummeted when you put the earmuffs on. I've seen different memes.
Increased. Apple AirPods stock went down.
Okay, but the earmuffs went up.
That's right.
Okay.
Ryan Mully has started to do some digging on that, so shout out to Ryan Mully. Yeah, he noticed the increase in stock price of the headphones.
Well, I am going to say there is something to this, because ever since I put on the earmuffs for real, gone full earmuff here about 3 weeks ago, I am selling cards at the fastest clip I've ever sold them. And I am going to announce today on the show what the biggest purchase was, which also ended up being my biggest sale ever. And I am excited about sharing this one. I didn't know if it was going to be this episode or another or what we were going to do, but to me, I had probably the most fun couple days of a card auction ever ending in my life here a couple days ago. And so I don't think I've ever been on Card Clown 9 more than I was ending last week. So we'll share that today in the show as well.
Dude, just pretty low-key week for us, man. We're kind of in the rhythm and routine right now of, travel basketball starting up. Matthew had a big tournament here locally. Insurance agency is keeping me incredibly busy, which is very good, very grateful for that. But just a lot going on. We did have a couple of really cool. So I had to go to Asheville, which is in the western part of North Carolina, about 6 hours away. And on the way up, stopped and made 3 purchases of 3 really big cards in our little mailbag segment. We'll do that, but bigger cards for us moving into PC. So yeah, man. But I'm pumped to get back into this. One of the things, guys, that I love about this show and our ability to connect with people is how many people are really jiving with this. We get messages all the time, and today we're going to go into some of those messages that guys are sending out to us, and that's super exciting. And so we got actually a little Matt live in-house today because he is on a work day from school. Little Matt, roll on in here and give us the 1 minute with Little Matt live on the show today.
What's up, guys? How y'all doing?
What's up, Little Matt?
What's up, brother?
All right, 1 minute with Little Matt live on the show today. So the Jack Caglione Super, everybody knows about that private sale. But there was a public sale for the non-autographed Super last night for $43,000. Then a Leo DeVry, True Orange Bowman Auto, did $4,800 on eBay auction last night.
That was mine.
That's exactly what I told my dad. A few big Walcott sales. 2 True Blues sold for $3,000, and a Gold Raw sold for $3,000, which is an amazing sale for those 2. Next, a Max Clark Orange 9.5, which also might be Gary's, did $4,600 on auction. Was that also yours?
That was also mine.
A Cam Smith True Gold Raw. Cam Smith did heating up. He's been one of the best prospects in
Hell yeah.
Did $1,750, which is
This is not scripted, folks, by the way. I want you to understand this. Matt, I have no idea how you did it this week. Every one of those is myself. Every single one of those is my card.
Maybe it's because you own 5 million cards.
Could be. It could be. But every single one of those was mine.
That's crazy.
Hilarious.
Keep going.
And the big card that we're ending on, massive card, Jet Williams True Orange, SGC 10, did $700 on auction.
Oh, my God.
Was that yours?
No. I don't.
Okay.
I only have Jet Reds and Super left, pretty much, and a blue.
Yeah, there were some big sales this week. All of them happened to be Gary's, but
Now we know why he's on cloud nine.
See you, buddy.
Thanks, Matt.
So that's funny. Like, and truly, guys, when Matthew does his research here, he just goes on Card Ladder. He pulls up the big comps of the cards that he feels like is going to be relative to the show. So that is really cool how that happened.
Yeah, I just want to say, somebody sent me a comment that one of our listeners left on one of the YouTube pages, one of the episodes, that said that, like, I need to loosen up. So this is for you, man. Like, I'm freaking loose, all right? Relax yourself. I don't know why you think I'm all, come on. I'm always loose. All right? Let's go. Just because I'm from New York doesn't mean I'm not loose.
Wicked loose.
We're listening to our listeners. We're responding to our listeners.
Come on, baby.
Hey, it's funny. For a second, I think he said, is your name Kern or Karen? I think that's what he was saying, pretty much.
He called me Karen, yes. I'm starting to open packages here, just so we know.
Going off a script here, because this is kind of the episode we're going to have here today. So earlier, Kern's dead serious about this, and I want to get your raw expression on this, whether you think I should do this as well. So Kern is 100%, and he's serious. Almost, I think he thinks I should change my legal name to this as well. But he thinks I should change my Instagram handle to the Bowman Farmer officially today on the show.
Yep.
And I said, "Do you want me to change my legal name to that as well?" And he kind of paused and he thought about it. But like, what do you think about the handle changing to the Bowman Farmer? Do you like that? Is that what's your thoughts on that?
Well, given your baseball coach's farmer's tan and your love for Bowman prospects, if there is another Bowman Farmer, I would like to meet him, because if somebody said the Bowman Farmer and then a picture of you came up, I would be like, that's the Bowman Farmer.
That's the guy. Okay.
I would say it's very good, accurate marketing description.
So we're making this official, and Kern, I need this clip so I can post a story. I'm officially changing my Instagram handle to the Bowman Farmer. As long as it's available. Not Bowman Farmer, the Bowman Farmer.
Yeah, there you go.
The Bowman Farmer.
So we're going to kick off the episode today by opening mail. So this is Kern being away on the Dominican for a week and waiting to open packages. So we don't know what these are. I don't think he knows what these are.
I don't know. I know a couple of cards that are in here, but first package here we got. It looks like a raw card. Okay, we have a Sebastian Walcott.
What a surprise.
We have a Sebastian Walcott raw blue. Okay.
I was thinking purple there was coming out.
Purple. Okay.
Well, while you're opening the next package, we had another big pickup. And Gary, we can just kind of fill this in here. So this week, we bought a Sebastian Walcott True Gold PSA 10.
Wow. That was a heck of a pickup right there.
Yeah. And then and we actually snagged another one on eBay. So we've got two now.
Dang.
Big pickup this week.
Second one, not such a big one, but I'm a sucker for the Topps Heritage Red Ink autos. So I got a Jordan Lawler Red Ink.
Okay. I like that. I love the red inks, man. I do. Now let's talk about red ink real quick. He's opened the mail here.
Yeah. What's the number two?
It's number 275. And it's like the hand numbering, which I love too.
And so they moved those around. They've moved. I think that one time they were like 69, and they moved to moved them around.
Judge up here is 68. Witt is 70.
Little Matt's in the background.
73.
A little bit every year.
Yeah, they change it a little bit every year. But to me, I really do believe this. That is my favorite, outside of a Bowman first autograph card, that is my favorite set to collect long term. It really truly is.
I know.
It's iconic. It's usually a classic picture. They don't make many of them. I really love those cards. Like when I'm going for these guys of the older players, I love to pick those up. I really do.
Forgot I got this one. Okay.
Really like those.
Another Walcott True Gold.
Man, y'all, how many of the golds do y'all own now?
We've got 3.
I got 4 PSA 10s and a couple raws, I think.
How many Walcott do you have in total now?
Man, I got probably 60 autos from 24 Bowman.
I thought you had more than that.
I mean, maybe I do, but not much more if I do. It's somewhere around there. All right, next package is a tough one to open. Gary, I know you got some mail there, too,
Gary,
right?
you bring one in.
Yeah, I'm not even going to open mine because I'm not correct. But I do have stuff that I have recently opened that I'll flash up here. A lot of this stuff mail. Some of it is new stuff. Some of it's stuff I've just pulled from my vault to have in hand. But Kern helped me get this one, and this is one of my favorite prospects, and I will talk about him today in the show. This is like the one I've talked about him before. I haven't been sharing him much on the show because he truly is my favorite prospect of all prospects, Eduardo Beltre. I love this kid. I mean, just for cheap, high upside, could be the next Churio type. I love him. And I picked up this 10 right here. It's a 10 orange. There's not much true color out there of this kid out there that's hit the market. So that's one posted.
Walcott Gold 9.5.
Another one?
True Gold.
There's another one. And another one. Hey, dude, Imrod?
Erod.
Oh, I like that.
Yep, Erod.
The guy made a glass.
I love Emmanuel Rodriguez.
Me too. He's
Another
really
guy.
good. He just got to stay healthy. He's really good, though.
Friend of the show, Samuel Basayo.
Sammy B.
Sammy
Two
B,
golds.
friend of the show. That's an orange 10 and a gold 10.
So here you go, guys. I'm popping this up. This is a
Baby.
Sammy B orange 9.5.
I love some Basayo orange.
So
You guys are going
Matthew-
to laugh at this one. Wow. Go on. Yeah, keep going.
Matthew and I are talking about this. This is a Gym Plus Plus. We're contemplating trying to cross that. But go ahead, Kern.
I got a one of one here. It's a funny one. A one of one Sebastian Walcott magenta.
This guy buys any Walcott. You
Any
got
Walcott.
it? Hit Kern's cards up. He pays double comps, baby, on Walcott.
My man went into the magenta.
The magenta.
Another
Okay.
show favorite, Paulino Santana.
This
Orange
one
10.
Oh, yeah. Where'd you get that one?
You know, I bought that a while back, I think off eBay, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, eBay sticker here.
Is this what I think it is? Oh, yeah.
Let's
Oh.
go. Big box.
Oh, yeah. All right, guys. This is a big one. Should be 2 cards in here. One of them is a big boy.
Like a real big boy? Like Daniel Vogelbach? Big?
All right. So the first one is a Josh Adamczewski True Red 10. Okay. And one of my under the radar guys there.
I don't know him.
And the other one is in this tightly sealed package. And this is Jeopardy. This is a Connor Griffin True Red Auto out of 5.
Mm-hmm.
Slide that over a little bit. This way. Yeah.
Oh,
Connor Griffin True Red Auto out of 5 and a BGS 9 slab with a 10 auto.
yeah. Don't buy him, guys. That guy's no good. Don't buy him. I'll buy
Don't
all
buy
him.
him.
I'll
Don't
buy
buy him.
all of him that's out there. Don't buy him. He's no good. He's no bueno.
That's right.
So again, while we're opening these packages here, we can kind of talk about this. One of the questions that we got were our top prospects. The question was, like, who are your top prospects? But I said, let's narrow it down and let's each of us just throw out like our top 3 prospect guys right now that we're going after.
I mean, I'm going to be I'll just be out there and just be honest where I'm at with it. I'm going to talk more short term today. I'm very short term lately with most of my purchases, and by the way, Cat's Cards, thanks for the message. Talking about $4.99 refractors, and that is something that I am doing before I go into who I'm buying. I am starting to buy a lot more $4.99s of these guys that are cheaper that are out there. We can talk more about that on another episode or later in this episode, but I love the value of those $4.99s of these early guys at 30, 40, 50, 60, even $100 on some of these prospects. It's low risk and provides a lot of upside if these guys hit. But with that being said, I'll start off with, I have one of these cards sitting here, and I've mentioned it before, but I'm going to keep beating the drum. He's had a huge spring training. He's not getting the love that he deserves. He's going to be a household name this season. I'm calling my shot. I've said it before. I'm saying it again. This guy is a perennial all-star in years to come. James Wood. James Wood, to me, still, I own so much of him. He's probably one of my largest holdings overall, but I like him so much that I would continue to buy him if he went too cheap somewhere. And I love James Wood. He tops my list currently.
What do you think Wood's time frame is, like, as far as liquidation?
He's going to be one of those guys. We've talked about this on the show before, where you've got early opportunity. You've got these different moments in time where you can sell guys. He had his moment in the sun probably 18 months ago, 24 months ago, where his stuff was sky high.
Through the roof.
I mean, crazy high.
But he got shadowed by Churio and Holiday. That was
Well, Wood did get up to almost $20,000 with an orange at one point. I mean, he was there. He was that guy before Churio. He was that guy kind of with Gunnar Henderson, and then he fell. And I never really got into him when he was high. I kind of waited till he came down. I bought, but then he's continued to kind of teeter his way down. He has slowly, gently kind of risen his way back up a bit. But I think he's like Bobby Witt, right? For me, when I look at James Wood, it almost reminds me of Bobby Witt again. Bobby Witt had that, everybody gave up on him, right? It's like, oh, it's taking too long. Bobby Witt, he came up, his stuff dropped because he wasn't hitting 50 bombs right away. James Wood, to me, is going to come up and he's going to play, and his stuff is going to go up. And I feel very strongly about that. And the question is, Ham, you said, when do you sell it? You can sell it then if you want, if you're looking for a short-term flip. But I think he's a guy, if you look at a player like him, that has Ronald Acuna type talent. I mean that, and I genuinely do. So he's probably a guy that I'll sell some of on the way up, but I will hold some of him because I believe in the talent. I really do.
Ern, next card. You got a couple there?
Yeah, so I've opened up a few packages. I've opened up 3. The first 2 were 2 more well-caught blues, true blues. So I got 3 total in this mailbox opening. And then I have another true blue, and it's the Cam Smith, my first Bowman.
Wow.
150.
Wow.
Nice.
That's cool.
That's a cool one.
Yeah.
Eric, what do you two guys think about that whole Inscription, my first Bowman auto, being the first one they signed?
I don't know that it is the first one that they signed, to be honest.
Looks like it.
But I mean, I like the idea of it. I get why they chose that one. I think it's probably because it's the middle of the ground, affordable parallel for high-end collectors, lower end that might want to, dip into the high end or mid end. So that's probably why they did it. And I think it's cool. I think there's a lot of questions on the value of them right now and what they hold in the future. Some of them some of them are doing true red numbers or true orange numbers, and then some of them are doing true gold numbers. None of them are doing true blue numbers. But I don't know what your guys' thoughts are on long-term value. I don't know that they'll stick to the true red, true orange numbers. It seems a little aggressive to me. Like, I'm willing to pay it if it's a guy's card that I really want, but I don't know. I don't know from a long-term perspective.
I think it's a gimmick. I think the whole gimmick hasn't hit baseball like it's hit football. I think some flipper somewhere on the way created this gimmick about jersey number and, hallmark, milestone base hit. You can almost find a number on every player and find some sort of milestone if you want. Oh, he first hit, I got a 1. Second home run. So to me, I think it's gimmicky. I think gimmicks in the long term, if you can turn it and make money on a gimmick, do it. I don't buy gimmick cards. I never really have, other than football, where it's for the purpose of. Yeah, they don't number them, but obviously I have bought jersey number stuff in football and flipped it, just because you can make more money there. But in my opinion, I don't like gimmicks, so I don't go after it.
You also too have to recognize what the hobby values, and if people do value jersey number and gimmicks or whatever, and you can capitalize on that, then by all means do it.
Sure. Yeah.
From a collector's standpoint.
I have a Topps fulfillment here, so I think I have an idea of what this one is. It actually looks like there's 2 cards in here. This was not the one I was expecting. This is a Paul Skeens for a replacement. And then the other, keep going, I'll open this one, which is the one I think I'm expecting.
So when you talk about prospects, people say, what's your favorite prospect? What's your favorite prospect? Like, I'm going to say Samuel Basallo, because I think the guy's hit tool is ridiculous. He's 20 years old. I don't like him because he's already expensive, in the sense of, like, if I'm going to buy somebody right now, but I'm that convicted in his long-term value that I really like. That's why we went and bought this orange. But I simultaneously sold a gold to buy the orange, so it was kind of like a level up swap. But yeah. I think Basallo's hit tool, and his 20 years old with the power and the exit velocities that he's putting out there, he just is one of those guys. And you also start to see how the internet responds to these guys. When they're posting, this guy's only 20 years old and he's doing this, like, he's already inside the system as far as a hype train. And that's why I would say Basallo is on top of one.
Yeah, I love Basallo. I mean, there's so many guys that I like. Like, obviously, Walcott's at the top there. Leo is at the top. Well, I think another one that's really, obviously his market's blown up, but I've owned a lot of him for a while now since release, is George Lombard. I know his market's sky sky high right now. So I'm not saying he's necessarily the best buy at this very moment, but if you can get in at the right price, even though it seems like it's somewhat high, I do think he's going to continue to go up. I think he's a guy that he's changed some things from a mechanical standpoint. He's gotten a lot stronger. That I think he's a buy right now, and I think his stock's going to continue to rise. So Lombard would be my guy.
Yeah, so I'll go to round two. I think we talked about doing maybe 2 or 3 each of these. So I'll go to round two. And again, mine are not deep value guys today. I'll hit on those a lot more over at different episodes as I have done in the past. But mine are guys that are ready and you can make money on, I think, this season within the next 60, 90 days. Okay, that's what I'm spotlighting today. And I'm going to piggyback off of you, Kern, here. I'm going, give me Yankees right now. Give me J-Dom. Give me Spencer Jones. Give me Yankees that are somewhat close to making an impact. I think that's not a bad play. If you're looking for short-term, get in, get out, there's obviously risk there, right? There's risk in anything you do in this game. But if J-Dom does perform, his values are going to skyrocket like they did before. I mean, quickly. If Spencer Jones gets an opportunity, his values are going to triple overnight. So to me, I'm kind of cheating because I chose 2 names there. But I'm going Yankees in general. Give me Yankee prospects with a chance to make an impact.
So we bought 2 of these probably 2 months ago. Sold one to lower our net value into this, and we're holding tight into the season for your exact point, Gary.
Smart. So my next card is one that really means a lot to me. It's a redemption. I'm going to open it up here.
Go this way. Who is it?
I got to take it out. So it is one that you guys know that I've, was after, and y'all can say what you want about this card, but I don't care. It's the Larry David Superfractor.
Look at that one, boys and girls.
It's pretty. It's so pretty. So there's that.
That's the first time you've seen that card.
Yeah.
Yeah, in person.
Yeah. I mean, I saw the image, but yeah. Thanks, guys. Thanks.
Congratulations.
So that first question, I gave you my top 3 guys would be Walcott, Leo, and Lombard right now is my number 1 guy. So I don't know if we were done on that question or not.
Well, no, but I was going to say there's going to be some people that are looking for Larry Davis, and they're like, who's this guy play for?
Exactly. He's the number 1 prospect on the Yankees.
Why can I not find him? Gary, do you have another guy? Give a third.
Yeah, I got one more guy. And again, my stuff today is not anything mind-blowing. It's just I want people to – I'm thinking short-term right now with baseball because for a couple reasons, right? Baseball's making the switch right now from preseason hype and prices going up that we're going to go to performance really quickly here on values. So I'm looking at guys on performance when I'm looking at players. And then I'm going to very quickly, as the season starts to go, I'll start dipping back probably May or June. I'll start dipping heavily back into prospects. As prospects take that initial dip here, probably coming up about May, June. It's not going to happen quickly, but they will dip again. But my last guy that's close, and I mean, he's on the Nationals as well. Y'all know I've been a fan of him. I just sold one this morning. It's crazy. I'm recommending a guy that I just sold this morning, but I had to. And it's reset his market. His market's going to go on fire after this today. I sold a Dylan Cruz PSA 9 orange today for $4,500 on eBay.
Wow. Holy
Last
crap.
PSA 10 just did 4,500 or 4,800. Someone came in and snagged it because there was none out there. There's very little Dylan Cruz inventory of true color. Big stuff out there. He has the potential to double, triple as well. I mean, he's got talent. He's got power. He's got speed. He's on a really young Nationals team with, to me, that's one of my favorite young teams right now. I mean, and they're in the Braves division, and I hate that. But, I mean, there's some talent on that field. And there's more talent coming behind them. I've mentioned Robert Hassel before, who people forgotten about Robert Hassel. He continued to hit, by the way, all spring training. And they may give that kid a chance. I really like these National guys coming up this season for some value. But I think Dylan Cruz, at current prices, when you can buy blues as cheap as his blues are at, it's criminal. I mean, it really is to me. I think Dylan Cruz, obviously, there's risk. But again, I think Dominguez, Dylan Cruz, James Wood, if I was looking for a 60 to 90 day flip, I like those 3 names.
Yeah, I'm gonna come in last here, and I'm gonna be a homer and say Walker Jenkins, just because Walker Jenkins prices have fallen probably 20%. over spring training. And the reason why is because in an inter squad game, he robbed a home run and he sprained his ankle, and they set him out pretty much all of spring training. So while all these other guys are getting the nod and getting at bats in spring training, Walker's just there, but he was still doing all the interviews. You know, we saw him on like Baseball Tonight as the number 3 prospect and stuff. And I just think when he comes out in AA ball and starts doing the things that Walker Jenkins can do, I think it's going to be very clear that there's a pathway for him to potentially, you know, challenge Leo and Sebastian and some of these guys as the top prospect in the debut of 26.
Yeah. Yep. I hear you on that one for sure.
I think it's a little bit longer to play, but I think if you can get his, you know, cards at value right now, like I know a gold sale did 4,200 and then a gold sale was down to like 31. So like when you're seeing a, you know, 25% decrease in value with basically no issues, I think there's a good opportunity to jump in.
Yeah, I mean, again, we've talked about it on a prior episode of comparing where other prospects blues are, and you know, Walker Jenkins doing what, like 1,700 and a 10, maybe.
There was just one that did 13 or something.
Right. And I don't want to compare like Walcott and Jenkins, but Walcott's are doing 3K. And it's a significant difference. To me, that tells me that is a good buy. If you like Walker Jenkins and you believe in him, it's a good buy at that price.
One more wild card before we move on. Kern, go ahead and correct my pronunciation here. Yoelin Cespedes. Okay, people that were on the Yoelin Cespedes. I like this kid. For the value of where he's currently at. When I'm picking up golds, PSA 10s for $500, $600 for a kid that's 19 years old, a shortstop in the Red Sox organization, his values have gone, they're probably 33% of where they were less than 12 months ago. So they're down 65, 66% probably from where they were at release. There was a ton of hype on him, and then the hype train kind of went to other guys, and nothing's changed though. You know, so that's what I like buying prospects when values have shown a ceiling. Okay, now they've hit a floor for no reason. Kid's done nothing. And so to me, I love the value there on him. I really do. And that's not a big name in most people's, and nobody's probably talking about him. Most shows are not talking about him. You might want to pick one up.
So one of the things that, you know, what we're doing today, guys, is really going through our own personal mailbags, things we've been picking up, but also addressing questions from our listeners. And then the next one I want to dive into, Gary, you alluded to it a little bit early. We had a message from Cat's Card. And when you guys send these messages out, we read them, and we love hearing about you guys' hobby experience. And some of these guys are like, dude, I was doing this with my dad back in the 80s, and then I stopped, and hey, I got back into this. A lot of the listeners we have are business owners. They own law firms, they own real estate companies, and they're in development, entrepreneurs, and the cards is a thing for them. And so our approach to kind of bring the CEO mentality into the cards is what you guys love. And so we appreciate you guys sharing all that. But Cat's Cards had said that there was a shift for him. Instead of buying the oranges and reds, he was going into stocking up on the 499s. And that brings a question to the table, is like, what do you guys feel about that? And I think there's some very different strategy here about going after the low pop higher end cards versus loading up on some stuff there. And Katz was saying he likes to load up on some of the refractors and things. But what do you guys take on that?
Gary, let you go first.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, boys, I'm just full disclosure on the show. And I hope that that ever bite me in the butt on my own business in this thing at times. But I'm just going to be honest. I love that strategy in some ways. I really do, especially for guys early on where you've got, I don't like overpaying for a $499 because those cards can, and this is a new thesis I'm going to share. Okay. I don't buy golds hardly almost ever anymore unless I feel like I'm getting them for extreme value. I don't buy blues anymore unless I feel like I'm buying them in extreme value. And I'll tell you why. I have ridden this wave up. I've ridden it down. And what I have seen in the golds and the blues, when you get beyond that, a guy can change your market overnight with a bad comp, AKA recent purchases all of us have made, right, of cards. And all of a sudden you're stuck, right, with this card, at this said new price value that someone has, because there's lots of quantities of this card. He could sell it because he doesn't know what he's doing. He could sell it because he needs to make his car payment. He could sell it because his wife tells him he needs to get out of cards. And generally, that's going to be in those cards that they can afford to do that in. So to me, I gravitate heavily right now in red, probably more than anything. You saw this with the Juan Soto the other day. What I believe with red, when a guy is on fire or he is up to where really he's just a great player in general. Red today, and Matt, I think you and I had this conversation the other day, red is now what someone will pay you for it. You said it perfectly. It has now become a red because there isn't, there's this, it's worth 2 times an orange or 3 times an orange. It's 5 times more rare than an orange. Yes. So who's coming up with that? Okay. To me, how is it not 5 times more expensive? And how is a superfractor should be 5 times more expensive than a red? Because it's 5 times more rare. And so I think to me, I'm gravitating to the reds when I can get them. That's my favorite card by far and away. But then beyond that, I like oranges because of the same thing. There's a safety net there. And it seems like I can buy oranges and find more oranges available, generally, obviously, than red. But there's still some safety net there. But if I'm not going there or a superfractor, AKA Kern and I going together on something, then I will go $4.99 now, especially on these guys that are further away. I don't like going $4.99s on somebody that's kind of already on the radar because they're already jacked up on price. But $4.99s on these lower guys will list them for $15, $20 just to dump them. They don't even want the card. It's like, it's worth nothing. And I just pick them up. And so I might pick up 50 of them. I might pick up 20 of them. And I'll just put them in a stack and say, hey, I've got $500 in this kid. And if all of a sudden that kid hits, that $500 could be literally 15, if he hits. To me, that's my strategy in a nutshell at this point. I'm not going to say I will never buy a blue again or a gold, but it's got to come to me. I don't even search for gold or blue anymore. And that's the truth. I really don't. I don't even search for them. So
yeah, Gary, I'm on you with you on that one, and same reasonings too. I mean, I do like the strategy. I appreciate the strategy, but if I am buying $4.99, I mean, first off, the blues and golds right now and that I'm buying are, the guys that I really like. I will go. We'll call it long on. Am Smith and Walcott. If I see a Leo blue, I'll jump on that too. But the $4.99. The whole reason I started buying oranges and reds and supers was because I'd get crushed by one comp. When one person needed to pay a bill, or it happens, that thing happens, and then you're held to that. You know what I mean? So you're playing within a small margin. But when we're talking about, like Gary, like picking up those guys that you like that are not there yet and have a long ways to go, and you're playing cheap, like good, you pick up a $4.99 raw for $15-$20. Like, okay, one sells for $11, big deal. You know what I mean? But there's so much more upside, and it's a long shot. But when you're, if I'm buying looking to buy like a Leo or LE refractor $4.99 right now, you're playing a game of comps, right? Latest one did this, latest one did that. When you're buying at the high end, the oranges and the reds and the supers, you don't. And I understand that everybody's budget doesn't allow for that, but that's why I'm doing it, is because they're a lot more rare, and I'm not held to that comp. And specifically, like with reds, like I like buying reds where I know where the other reds are, so I know that it's a safety net and who's in a safe place. So I'll do my research. Like I just got that Connor red. Like there's been one other true red hit. I know where it is. It's raw still. I know if the guy's selling it or he's not selling it. I know it's safe. So I feel more comfortable making an offer at a certain price for this BGS 910 that I just got. But I'm with you. I appreciate the strategy, but if I am buying $4.99s, it's going to be on the guys that are far away.
So, it's interesting about what kind of taught me this, and what really was my precursor into cards was actually the bourbon, secondary bourbon market, because North Carolina's, I think I've mentioned this on the show before, North Carolina is a controlled state, which means that the ABC allocates who gets it, and if you can find it, you get it at retail. Whereas you boys in New York and Georgia, those are non-controlled states, so people can put it out there at whatever price. It's just a matter of somebody wants to come and get it, right? And then you have certain stores that kind of sell closer to, MSRP or whatever. But that said, I started to realize when you have like a Buffalo Trace antique collection, like a George T. Stagg or William LaRue Weller, or you have a Pappy 15, or when you have even like a 10-year-old Rip Winkle, whatever those, when you have those, you know what you have. And people want that, they're going to want to trade into that, right? Or get into that. Whereas if you take like a Weller 107 or like a Colonel E.H. Taylor, like still an allocated Buffalo Trace pour, right? You're going to see those kind of highly liquid, and you can move in and out of them pretty much, but there's not going to be a ton of appreciation, depreciation, but you always have an asset that you can move. And so when you apply that concept to the cards and then combine it with this, you know that a debuting top prospects refractor auto is probably going to be a floor of around $1,000 in a PSA 10 to a ceiling of $2,000. You look at guys like Ellie, you look at Churio, you look at Holiday, you look at what those guys were all in that range toward debut at peak. You know that you have an asset where that's a legitimate ceiling. And then you compare that against, maybe a top 50 prospect who hasn't debuted, and you can go and get his, PSA 10 refractor for, call it $200-300. You know that you're pretty much going to be protecting your downside. This is your upside, and there's going to be a ton of comps in the middle. So you've got a pretty liquid asset. And I think that kind of strategy is something that people can really benefit from, where you really start to analyze this market and operate it as a business.
Yeah, I just want to clarify that what I said earlier too, that, the strategy of not buying blues for me is not always like, I do still buy blues occasionally. Okay. And it'll be because I am all in on a player generally, right? I'm just all in on a player, or the deal was too good to be had. I just had to get it. But like, for example, Beltre, I mentioned earlier, I'm buying everything Eduardo Beltre because I'm all in on the kid. Okay, that kind of like Walcott with Kern, because if I think the player is going to be that good and I'm that compelled at where his value is, then I'll buy whatever I can get my hands on.
Right.
Bowman auto. You know what I mean? Within reason, as long as the price is fair. But I want to give two examples on the blues. Okay, Ellie De La Cruz blue. Okay, if y'all just go, we just looked at the chart right now where Ellie De La Cruz blues have traded. They have been all over the map. I've bought and sold Ellie De La Cruz blues multiple times, PSA 10s. That market right now, if you got in on the right hand in the winter, you can still play the blue game and win if you get lucky. I bought a blue early on. Somebody gave it away. I mean, I almost bought it for like $2,000, PSA 10, back in the middle of the winter, right at the beginning. Now they're selling for $5,000, right? Because he's been hot and baseball's gone up and all the above. So you can still make money on blues. So I don't want to get roasted for, you can't make money on blues. That's not what I'm saying. I just, there's a lot of risk there, just the same way. And I want to bring up this example because I'm got roasted with this kid, and I'm still holding him because I still believe in the player. Max Clark blues. I bought Max Clark when he first came out, and everybody wanted Max Clark. His blues were selling for close to a couple grand at one point. I mean, the blues were up there. I was riding the train. Those blues aren't anywhere close to that.
That's an interesting, that Max Clark thing right there. And I don't know if this was really on our agenda to discuss, but it's an interesting point because did you buy those at release? Because what I wanted to talk about and touch on is the prices at release of all of these sets, the Bowman draft, like Bowman, we all know it. And it's getting more and more profound as more sets come out, but at release, but it does not make sense to buy singles at release. It just doesn't, unless even if there's a deal too good to be true compared to comps, there's so few comps out there, it still might end up being high. And that price might be what a PSA 10 sells for in 4 months from then or 6 months from then. And it's so dangerous to buy at release. Like I do it just because, and I get why people do it, but it's so dangerous because 9.9 times out of 10, the price is coming down no matter what.
I would say the only exception to that rule is the orange and red. Is when you can find those kinds of cards out of the product. And again, with the mindset of being quick with them and grading them or whatever, I feel like you have a better, I will tell you this, when golds and blues and refractors come out of the product, you're going to get toasted on those. You know what I mean? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Unless you just pick the guy that nobody is talking about, and you're going to get toasted on those. That's just
it truly is a game of timing when you have these guys come out at the beginning. I played that game all last release. No, I know it to a T because I lived it. And I knew going in, just like Kern said, I'm not going to buy it release. I'm just like, I'm not going to do it, but I want to watch. And if I see something come up and it's too low, I'm going to snag it. Like, I'm going to snag it quick. And you can make money there. I mean, you've got to live on eBay. You got to live on it. You got to live on Card Ladder. But I think it also goes back to, though, Look at Cam Smith, right? So if you have conviction on a guy and you're a mid-tier guy like a Griffin Burkholder or some of those type guys, I would feel more comfortable to buy those guys, I think, early on. I mean, if you're compelled.
The thing with the Reds, Matt, to your point, like the thing with the Reds too at release, not only do you want to jump on them, you don't know when another one of those is going to hit.
Exactly.
You know, like those don't come available very often. What I think people could get screwed on, in addition to the blues and the mid-tier stuff, is on the new like peanut refractors and the red X fractors and the black X fractors. Like I guarantee you're getting crushed on that if you're buying based on what it's numbered out of.
So we had Raja was his name, and Raja had asked a question. He said, hey fellas, really enjoying the podcast. He said, where are you guys and what do you really feel about the Topps Chrome primary set versus like the Logofractor? And then the same question relating to the Bowman initial product versus like the Mega Box. And his whole thing is I really like the look of the Logofractor and the Mega Box, but what do you feel about long-term value? And would you guys speak to that? So Raja, thanks for the question. I just wanted to see what you guys thought. To your point about the peanuts and the, red X fractors and all that kind of stuff. Where are you guys with all that?
Kern?
I mean, as far as Chrome versus Logofractor, I think, Chrome is the true Chrome set. I think it's always going to hold more value. It always will. It's the true Chrome set. Logofractor, though, I see obviously as different. I see it as different than like Sapphire or something like that, because I think people really love the Logofractor look. I know I love it. I know Gary, I know you love it. So I think it is going to hold long-term value. I don't think it's ever going to jump true Topps Chrome, but I do think it's going to continue to hold its value over time for wherever it is compared to true Topps Chrome right now. I don't think the Logofractor is going anywhere as far as value goes.
Again, probably giving away some of my secrets here a little bit, but Topps Chrome was a cheat code this last fall. I mean, it was an absolute cheat code. I don't think I've ever bought better in my entire buying career than when Topps Chrome release came out. Topps Chrome cooled off, and everybody went Bowman and forgot about Topps Chrome. And I was buying, I don't even want to say the cards I was buying, but I was buying reds of big time players. And I was calling Kern. Remember when I was calling you? I was like, dude, I just bought this card for like $1,200. You're like, what?
I wouldn't believe you. It was like, wild.
I was like, I just bought it. I mean, like time and time again, snagging cards because again, it's supply and demand in this game. People are flooding the market with new product late when they're pulling it out of packs as it goes. Baseball season's done. Everybody's on the new Bowman release. Topps Chrome going into the fall. There is to me, almost no better buying of any product if you want to make money in this space. And I'm so glad we talked about this than that. But please don't buy the Reds because I love buying them. So please, folks, don't compete with me on this. But to me, though, talking back to his original question of the value of those, I would never want to buy those Topps Chrome at release. But I think if you've got players you love and you've got guys you love as prospects and now they're rookies and their rookie cards on Topps Chrome comes out, I love buying those cards then. And then the next spring right now, sell them right when they're getting the pop. February and March. It's a ROI machine, in my opinion. Buy them raw, grade them, sell them in the spring, and you will love your results if you buy right.
Yeah, I think the interesting piece is you also have the demand for the first Bowman, and you're going to see which players' Bowman first cards are performing, and then take that knowledge into the Topps Chrome marketplace.
Yes.
If Jackson Merrill's first blue or gold or whatever, if it's doing X Churio or whoever, you know what I mean? If it's doing that and you see that they're the same price in Topps Chrome, you're like, well, either Merrill is way undervalued over here or Churio is way overvalued. And once you kind of start to run those analytics, I think you can find some kind of like holes in it. The interesting piece is you get a guy like Holiday, right? Like Holiday, because of when that product releases relative to their debut. You know what I mean? So like Holiday's Topps Chrome stuff was releasing later into his season as he was struggling versus his Bowman, which had already been out. You know what I mean? So if you can kind of combine all of that analytic data and knowledge, I think that's where you can find some nuance there. I don't know why we don't have a Topps Chrome auto or a Topps Chrome card in our house. And every time we get one, I'm just like, no, I just kind of move it along because my mind can only handle Bowman. And so back to Raj's question about Bowman versus Bowman Mega, there's not a Bowman Mega in my house. There's not a Bowman Sapphire in my house. And for me, it's about my brain can only deal with one thing. And I can only understand and know the Bowman first market. And so I have to have this narrow focus, this very niche focus. And for us, it's been refractor, blue, gold, orange. Those four parallels of these guys. And it's been very laser focused on that. And that's where we've been successful. When you start to go, oh, there's all this other stuff over here, dude, my brain shuts down. Because in our world, I'm the one that has to track everything.
I'm going to get you changed this fall. Watch this. Watch this, folks. Watch this fall. I promise you, just take a couple rides with me on this game. And I'm not talking blues again. I'm not talking in golds. You can buy reds and you can buy oranges in the fall at the right time. If you're out there searching, you can buy players like Jackson Holiday, who I know y'all liked, and other guys, like you said, that were prospects you loved. And now you're buying their rookie set, and there's some of these limited auto true cards, not all this other jargon, true red, true orange autos. I mean, I was buying Caminero oranges for $300. What? I mean, what? How is that even possible? I was buying his red for like $1,000.
It was also eaten by a dog on one side of that.
But I just got into that space. I was just like you, Matt, before this last year on that. But I can promise you I'll be going to that well again.
I think that's because you retired now. You retired and now you have more margin and you can get more product.
Well, I've taken a lot of the playbook here of like limiting inventory, but you got to know when to buy them. And when that opportunity is there, you've got that like magic moment. You got to take advantage. You just do. And that's one of these advantages.
So moving on to our mailbag here, we had another question come in from a listener, and it was basically, this was the one from, it's One Y Cards or Oni Cards, I don't know how he pronounces it. But he said, what about prospects in organizations like the White Sox, the Athletics, the Rockies? How does the market affect how quickly those guys get called up versus prospects in organizations like the Dodgers, the Yankees, the Red Sox? And, I thought that was a great question, and it really does play into how you select prospects. Gary, you've already talked about it today. So what do you guys feel about prospects in those smaller markets?
Bubba, go for it.
I wish I had an answer for each organization. It definitely affects the value. There's no doubt about it. But examples of years in the past, bad teams historically, like the Pirates, can still have great prospects. Ellie De La Cruz, Skeens, Connor Griffin. I think sometimes it's the type of player, you can see. There's no doubt that I think a guy that's a Dodger, that's a Yankee, that's potentially a Brave. I mean, some of these top teams, 5 to 10 teams, Red Sox, those guys are going to hold value because their fan base is just going to hold the value. But I will say, I think they generally don't get as much buzz early. And they get hammered quicker. I'll use a guy, Yanquiel Fernandez. Okay. I have that Superfractor. I still like the player. I didn't know he was going to do that. I still like old Yanquiel. And but Yanquiel Fernandez a year and a half ago at the National, that National we were at together, Yanquiel Fernandez was the guy. I don't know if you remember that summer. Dude's hitting bombs. Nobody talked about Yanquiel Fernandez, and he went from nothing to on fire. Very similar to Junior Caminero type trajectory. And Yanquiel Hernandez is still hitting bombs. He's still not playing all that bad. He didn't do great, but he played fairly well. But he's a Rocky. And so they get crushed quick. If they're not, they can still get publicity, but they have got to get to the show and they've got to produce. That's any player. So the answer to the question is I shy away from those players. I think twice about them more than maybe someone like a Josu DePaula. But I'll give an example of a guy like Nick Kurtz. I'm buying Nick Kurtz. I like Nick Kurtz because I believe in the player, but I also know there's risk there with Nick Kurtz because of the ace, and he's got to get to the show. So that's my answer.
Yeah, I know One E Cards, Stefan. I think what he's also kind of asking is, maybe I'm wrong, but should he be buying Bowman first by organization? Like organizations that typically take longer to develop, like the Marlins or the White Sox, or or organizations like that. And I wouldn't necessarily select organizations and buy those prospects just because you have time on them. Like I would do your research on the actual prospect, but like as far as some of these organizations do have ceilings, and there's been exceptions for some of them lately. I think it just takes one or two of those exceptions for the organization to kind of get back to get hope in the hobby for people. I think Kansas City, Bobby Witt's the exception, but before that, like where you'd probably stay away from Kansas City guys. I think the Brewers with Churio. I think the Pirates with Connor and Skeens are now the exception. But and so the two down ones for me now and it doesn't mean I'm not buying them, but like look at, for example, like the White Sox and the Marlins. Like the White Sox, Colson Montgomery, like there's people buying him, but like there's nobody asking for him. Like he's probably a hell of a ball player. He is a hell of a ball player, and he's probably going to make an impact in the major leagues, right? But nobody's asking for him, and I do think it's a lot because he's a boring white guy on the White Sox in that organization. He's not boring, but like the organization is boring. He doesn't have the superstar, hobby power right now. And take an example on the Marlins, Dylan Head. I own a lot of Dylan Head. I still have a Superfractor. I have a red, an orange, gold, blue. I'm not selling him right now, but he was on the Padres and he was a top 5, Padres prospect and on the rise, right? And once he was traded, I mean, obviously his market plummeted as expected, and it's not going anywhere anytime soon. I still think there's upside with Dylan Head at his current prices, right? But like, there's nothing to get excited about with a Marlin right now. There's nothing.
Yeah, 100%.
So
you're spot on. I mean, look at Kyle Teal. Kyle Teal got traded from the Red Sox, and look at Braden Montgomery. And I'm telling you right now, I'm doubling down on Braden Montgomery. I think it's an opportunity on Braden Montgomery right now. I believe in the player. So I think you're spot on, though. I think you're 100% spot on. All it takes is one player. And you can see that. You need that breakthrough guy. And then everybody's going, is he the next guy, right? Is he the next guy coming of that? So, Kern, I think you nailed that.
The Reds with Ellie.
So carrying on, guys, we have 2 more questions here when we wrap up. What are you guys feeling about grading right now? Grading has obviously gotten more difficult, especially out of product. Quality control is a question with certain centering issues now, and PSA doubling down. Let's make this quick, but just what's your gut on buying raw and grading now compared to a year ago, Kern?
My take real quick, it's extremely dangerous right now, given PSA's new grading standards, the quality control in Bowman draft. I think you have to be very selective of what you're grading, who you're grading it, and what service level you're grading it at. So Bowman draft, first off, PSA, I would stay away from Value Plus personally, because there's something in Value Plus where their graders are so much tougher than everywhere else. There's a ton of 9s coming out, ton of 8s. I've been staying away from Value Plus. Value, they're taking 45 days just to process the order. Forget the turnaround time of 60 days. So it's 45 days plus 60 days. If it's someone you're good, that you are not in any sort of rush to get back and move, because time is money, I mean, I wouldn't send Value right now. So I'm only sending to PSA if it's regular or express, super express. Regular $75, 10-day turnaround time. It better be a card that's worthwhile from a pricing perspective to send in. But I think you got to be more selective, specifically with centering. And I think you should only be sending in at regular or better at depending on what kind of rush you're in.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'll just go from a different angle. I feel like I've mentioned this before, and I'm going to beat the drum here on this. A PSA 9 should not be the same value as a raw anymore. It just shouldn't be. A PSA 9 should be more valuable than raw. It just should be. And I think that change is going to take place. It is getting harder and harder by the day to get a PSA 9 at times, a BGS 9 or BGS 9.5 at times, with quality control issues that are out there. And a lot of times the raw cards that are left have a lot of issues. And so from my standpoint, I grade a lot. I make a lot of money on grading. You got to come up with a system on your grading, and you got to have a system that works for you, but buy with a margin of safety.
I just want to chime in real quick on saying that I think, Gary, your point, we're going to start seeing the raw cards as leftovers, right? And I do think it's going to make 9s more valuable, just because I think the opportunistic buyer, flipper, or collector for that matter, that, the 9 is going to become, I know this card is safe and I can crack it, and maybe it's just some surface issues or whatnot. And the 9 is the safe play. and it's the new raw, because in their minds, or my mind, it'll be, if it's raw, it's probably an 8 or worse now, not a 9 necessarily, because a 9, if it's greater than 9, it's considered safe. It's safe to crack and to potentially resub.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be funny when the market catches up to that. Is it 6 months? Is it a year? Is it 2 years? Sometimes this market works quick. Sometimes it works really slow. It looks like right now it's going really slow on that front.
Well, I think the key with the hobby is there's always a cheat code. There's always cheat codes within any business, and you just have to be savvy enough and smart enough and wise enough to find the cheat code, right? What is the cheat code? And, one of the things that I'm going to use on my insurance side of the business is, we've had a ridiculously successful first year. We're coming up on our 1 year anniversary in 2 weeks. And the cheat code is twofold for us. Number one, it's in our market, we are in a coastal market. So insurance companies are already leery of writing insurance. So most carriers are using, or most companies are using the same carrier. So there is not market competition. This is not Geico save you 15 minutes or more. It's whether you call me, Gary, or Kern, the price is going to be the same. So that's kind of a cheat code, knowing that, and then combining that with just being a human being who will get on the phone and return somebody's phone calls and be timely and be service-minded and personalized. Dude, it's a cheat code. We are writing more insurance right now. I mean, it's crazy because we're leveraging and taking advantage of the market conditions. So take that to the hobby. Cheat code a couple years ago, dude, grade cards. They're giving out 10s, man. Just go buy them and grade them, because people are scared to ship it. People were scared. They wanted to capitalize on their money. So, okay, I'll take the cheat code and I'll grade your card and I'll get a 10 and I'll 2x my money and I'll just keep doing the cheat code. When you have a super high volume of, repackers in the marketplace and they're buying up cards or whatever, recognize this, get access to the cards they're looking for, and you sell to them. It's a cheat code. You have to adapt as the market adapts. And so right now, I think that there's opportunities, but you've got to be mindful of it. Like little Matt and I, or last night, we bought a Kaboom, which, this is not a Kaboom podcast, but we bought a Kaboom. And the reason why we bought this Kaboom is it's a guaranteed Hall of Famer, and there's only 4 PSA 10s in the population of this 2021 Kaboom. There's 4. And there's another guy who we know has 3. So when you start to capitalize on these low pop situations and you find these little cheat codes within the thing, because when people look at a comp on the paper, they're going, that's what that card does. No, it's a pop 4. That's the last sale, but it's a pop 4. Like those kinds of things, I think, where people need to start looking for deeper value. So that's kind of a little side.
One other thing on grading, can we hit on this real quick, this topic? I think people will find this interesting because I had this question. How much are y'all valuing at this point a PSA 10 more than a 10? Okay, like when you see that on a nice card, and I'm saying nice card, anything over a couple grand, in your mind, does it make you that more intrigued to want to buy it? Are you willing to pay up on it? I mean, where are y'all at on 10-10s on PSA?
To me, it depends on the player. Basayo, yeah, I'm paying up maybe 10%. Yeah, Jackson Holiday, back when we were buying first Bowmans of his, I think that is a premium. Guys that have tough autos, Gem Paulino, Santana, I think typically maybe it's 5%, right? But I think for guys that have, autos that typically, like Connor Griffin, a lot of faded autos, like that would get a 10% bump or so. But that's just my take. Matt?
Yeah, I would say player specific as well, and I would say up to 20%. And I just had this out from earlier, but this is a Trout refractor, but it's a 10 auto new label.
That's, yeah.
So in my opinion, that would do easily 20% over a old label non-auto grade. Personally,
to me, I'm a sucker for it. So maybe I'm the guy that's going to keep setting the newer, higher comps. If it's got a 10 on it now at PSA, you just don't see it as much.
We can't get
to
better.
Me. Yeah, especially on a high end card. Like, okay, there's a Leo red right now on auction. Probably by the time this episode airs, it may almost be over with. It's already at 15,000 as a 10-10. It's like the way I'm looking at super high end cards: orange, red, Superfractor, and 10-10 to me, let's say it's a red 10-10, I now know that without a doubt, I own the second best card all time of that player. That's the way I'm looking at it. There's not 5 anymore. There's 1, there's 2, and then there's everything else. That's just my opinion.
I The idea of anything but a 10 auto in general is kind of stupid to me, right? Like it's silly, like that we're grading an auto, right? Like I love it too. I guess I could be a sucker for them too. Like it's just silly because it's like one little PSA has been very tough on it, and one little streak can make it an auto 9. You know what I mean? And it's a little silly to me, but it's smart on PSA's end that they're very tough on it, especially compared to BGS, because it does make it that much more valuable.
Well, 100%.
Yeah.
That's what makes it special. If they just threw out 10s on everything, we wouldn't even be talking about this.
BGS does, and it just makes it look better. But
Yeah. No, I mean, the reason a PSA 1010 is important is because it's supply and demand. There's not any of them out there. I mean, when you get one, it's like when I see that 1010, it's like I just get giddy. I want it. I want a high-end 1010. I just do. Ern's going to call me. I got a 1010 over here.
The giddy Bowman farmer.
Yeah, exactly.
I love
By
it.
the way, Kern is saying y'all now, by the way, everybody.
Yes, he is.
I'm calling out when I'm saying y'all because I feel
y'all.
weird doing it, but it's actually coming pretty natural to me now.
Slow conversion. Well, guys, I think that's probably a healthy place to end. Today was a lot of fun, like you said.
Should I save the Shohei for another episode?
Actually, you know what?
No, let's end on that one.
Close. Speaking of 1010s, and the Bowman farmer take the step.
Well, and I can go deeper into this story later, but this has got to be the coolest card story of my card career so far. Hopefully I'll have one that tops this one, but this was amazing. I got contacted probably around 3 weeks ago, and Kern did as well. I think we were one of the two that got contacted about this card, and it was a Shohei Ohtani Bowman batting gold 1010, and the guy had a number. The guy was out of China. He had a number, and this card was already at one of the consigners, and they already had possession of it, and this guy did not want to auction it. He wanted to sell it. Okay. But the problem was he was taking this card and putting it all over message boards. He was putting it all over the place, and he was wanting to move it, and he had been doing it for a while. Okay. And he hadn't sold it, and he was asking a pretty high number on the message boards, and it came around for me to be able to buy it. And I've never, full disclosure, I've never paid over $100,000 for a card before. Until this card came, and I was very skittish about it. I was like, that's kind of been like my number. Like, I will not go over 100. And the guy wanted like 125. And I said, look, I'm looking at comps. I'll pay you $95,000 for this card. I'll pay you. That's what I feel like it's worth. But I looked at the comp, and there was the recent sale of the Ohtani Gold Authentic, but it was the 50 of 50. Okay. Right. So it was kind of one of the gimmicky milestone things, and it sold for like $100,000. And I said, if I buy this card, I'm going to put it in the Skeens auction at Fanatics, because that auction is going to have tons of eyes. It's going to go high. And I said, I think that Authentic is going to, somebody's going to look at that and go, Authentic went for $100,000. I'm going to pay X. Long story short, I got the card at 105, and I immediately called my rep at Fanatics and said, let's send it live. And he said, hey, there's a 9.5 gold in here. It's a True Gem Plus. Does that bother you? And I said, no, I like that. I said, let's run it. And I've never had more fun in an auction watching that thing till it in. I mean, I literally, as that thing, guys, it hit to 105, 108. And I'm sitting there like, okay, this is all great.
House money.
Maybe I can get to 125. Maybe I can get to 150. The card ended at $204,000 on Fanatics. $4,000. $99,000.
Clap it up, baby. Clap it up.
$99,000 return. And I never touched the card. I never had it in my possession. I never even saw the card before it hit my vault. It hit my vault it hit my vault after the fact. I tell you, one of the coolest experiences I've ever had in a card. I mean, it goes back to, and you can do this with almost, I think, anything. When you feel like you buy a card with a margin of safety, which in that card, I felt like I had a margin of safety, being that it was a 10-10, one hadn't sold in a long time. But then I knew I had upside. I think that's something I've started to really learn in this space. If you know where you're at and you know you can take a ride and the space is hot, you take the ride. Man, it was a tremendously fun experience. It's fun to share fun experiences because I've had my fair share of ones that didn't go so well. And, what a cool experience.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
Absolutely.
Thanks, guys.
Well, guys, it's just so cool to continue to see the experiences that we have, the fact that the three of us have developed this cool relationship where we're calling each other about these wins and celebrating these wins with each other or whatnot. That's always special, right? When you can celebrate other guys that have wins. And I think that's what makes us unique. I mean, a lot of times in the hobby, people are like, oh, he does this or he does that. No, you celebrate the people around you that do well, and you glean from that, man, and you build relationships off of it. I think that's why people love it, because there's authenticity here, and we certainly appreciate you guys listening.